Okay, we're live, guys. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Joshua Paul, Marketing Director for SampleServe. Today I have with us Russell Schindler, CEO of SampleServe, and Paul Goodrow of Enorn Partners. We have a weekly webinar every week at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays where we go over SampleServe Masterclass, which helps users like you and potential users to understand and get to know our software solution. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Paul, and let's get started.
Great. Thanks, Josh. This is, like Josh said, it's a series of webinars that we welcome both our current clients and new clients to join us. And what we like to do is just give you some tips on how to use the technology. Our belief is that technology is going to help you be more effective and more successful as a user. And also your companies will become more competitive in the environment. So if they're competing for new work, new clients, new jobs, we hope technology will help be more competitive, more cost effective, more efficient. And for you as an individual, a practitioner, we're hoping that this technology will help you become, a better person in working with the clients, providing better solutions to your clients, and giving you career opportunities. So really, this weekly seminar is here for you to learn the SampleServe product, to get some tips on how to use it better, to master the app, and really it's just to help you become more successful in using the technology and using it in your daily activities. So welcome. Thanks again for your time. I know time is very important, and stay tuned.
This should only take about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I say just a little housekeeping. If you got any comments, put them in the chat. We can get to it now. We can get to it after this is over. This link is going to stay live. This video is always going to be here. If you know of anybody that you think would be interested in this stuff, go ahead and send them the link. This video is always going to be available along with all of our past webinars as well. So let's get started with Russell. We'd like to talk about user case studies and things that a lot of our users like run into or asked for, or something that we think is important for our users to know. So this week is going to be about uploading your data, do's and don'ts. So I'm going to let Russell, you have the screen, so you can.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So one of the common problems, I'm the chief troubleshooter here at SampleServe, and
Chief.
The way people name data.
Hold up, Russell. Start over. You bogged down for a bit there.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet connection is not the greatest. So one of the common data upload problems that we experience at SampleServe is the way people name their sample IDs. So I've got 5 examples here of how you can name a well monitoring well number 1. This first one here and the second one here, they look the same at first glance, but if you'll notice here, on the second one, there's actually some trailing spaces there. So from a computer standpoint, a data upload standpoint, it actually looks like different data. So we've actually programmed our software to kind of ignore trailing spaces, but from the most part, the software will typically recognize these as 2 different sample locations. And then sometimes people put monitoring well -01. They kind of mean the same thing, but the software doesn't know that. And then sometimes people forget to put the hyphen in, especially when they're, typing in new data really quickly, or forget the space and the hyphen. And sometimes they just put a space rather than a hyphen. And so each one of these here is actually recognized as a different sample ID when it comes to uploading data. And so we get people who are uploading spreadsheets, and all of a sudden they've got 3 different monitoring well number 1, and it's because of one of these factors here and others as well. One of the nice things about using a digital platform like SampleServe is that once you put that sample ID in there, and now you want to say, set it up for sampling for next quarter or next year or whenever it is, you're not going to have to type the ID in anymore. You're just going to simply select it from a list, and that way it was typed in is going to be transferred into the next data entry, into the lab file, So no one ever has to type that ID in again. They're just going to select it from a list, basically. So it really eliminates a lot of these data consistency problems that are pretty common in digital methods. So that's one of the nice things about using a digital platform like SampleServe is that it really just eliminates a lot of those issues. So that's the kind of the user case problem that we like to share those with you every week.
And
Hey,
probably
Russell, doesn't our technology also recognize can't you set multiple labels to one label, meaning that if data sets come in with multiple MW1s, you can recognize multiple MW1s and put it as MW1-1.
Yes, we can. And this typically happens when somebody's setting up a brand new project. We got a new client and they've got databases all over the place in spreadsheets, at multiple formats and different sources. So yes, we can do that, Paul. We can kind of clean the data as it's being imported. But I'm just pointing out that, that this is really one of the common database problems that people experience.
All right. I think we got that one covered. Let's keep this moving. Let's go on to the next tips, tricks, and how-tos. So a lot of people like to connect their laboratory when they first start projects, and it gives the users and the laboratories many benefits when your laboratory sets up inside SampleServe so that they can connect with all their clients. One of the main benefits is that bottle ordering becomes automated. When you set up a new event, that order can be processed a week, 2 weeks before the event comes. So you never miss any bottle shipments coming in, overnight ordering, problems. Everybody runs into a problem where they suddenly don't have bottles and they're going out in the field that morning. And then another thing for the lab is they know what's coming. They know when it's happening. They know when you're in the field sampling, and they can see when it's in transit to them as well. So they can, if they got a big shipment coming in the next day, they can be prepared for that. And the other benefit is that they can accept chain of custodies digitally, which is one of the best features of SampleServe. But today we're going to talk about analytical parameters, because when you do connect your lab, let's go to it. We're going to show you, this is a typical event that we have planned for the 26th of October. This has got a pretty good amount of wells here. And if you go up here and manage tests, we have a generic lab that everybody has access to. So if your lab isn't connected, you could still pick from our generic lab, which covers about 99.9% of the tests that you're going to be doing. But if your lab is connected, they can actually upload their own analytical parameters here in their own library through their own laboratory function in the background. They have their own laboratory login. They can add a test here. This is the generic lab test library right here. And if this was your lab, they could add a test specifically to what they want. You just got to put a test name, method, container, all the kind of parameters that they would want to pick your region.
And if I could just add, Josh, some labs will actually use 2 like 40 mil VOAs when they're actually collecting a sample. Some labs want 3. So those are the types of things that they can customize.
Right.
And even when they're doing maybe a metals analysis or something like that, they might want to have a 100 mil bottle like this one, or maybe they need a 200 mil bottle. So that's where the lab's allowed to be able to customize their own specific needs and, bottle size and type, so that when you go to print your labels, it's going to put the proper label on that bottle and the proper quantity as well. So that's the purpose of having the labs be able to customize that stuff. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine. I was getting to that.
Okay.
No, you're good. What else am I missing? I think the best part is there's no other platform out there that connects the laboratory with their client directly digitally like this and has them automatically, upload, pretty much everything that they have in their list of analytical tests, and that you could just literally choose from out of a checklist here and throw on your planning.
Yep. Yeah, that's really the biggest benefit is that the lab populates their menu, if you will, and then you get to pick right from their menu. And they can keep it updated, right? As technology evolves, laboratories are going to smaller and smaller bottles, which actually saves on shipping, right? You very rarely see the 1 liter amber jars anymore because they've gone to smaller bottles. Saves on shipping, saves on time to fill up the bottles, just saves on materials, right? So, that's kind of the trend, and they can kind of keep that updated as they update their technologies and their quantities of volume that they need in order to do a specific analysis.
Right.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add is that, as you guys know, your lab PM or account manager or whoever you interface with can be invited to your workspace. And so not only does the analytical parameters load, you also have constant communication with your lab account manager or project manager. So they're in tune with what you're doing, what your needs are, your bottle order. They become part of the team, which sometimes is that missing electron that doesn't come in to orbit until you actually are going out in the field. As Josh said, you don't want to go out in the field and not have any bottles. So the other nice part is it just increases communication with your lab partner.
Yep.
Also.
It allows the labs to forecast as well. If they see you're doing a hexavalent chrome and you're shipping it on a Friday, they know that they're going to have somebody in the lab on Saturday to run that. So those are the kind of things that helps them really kind of see a little bit of a view into what you're doing, and just it makes you more part of a team.
Right. And if you do want to connect your laboratory, how much does it cost for your laboratory to use the SampleServe app, Russell?
It's $0. We don't charge labs anything. So they get to participate at no cost.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now we want to get into sampling in the field. A lot of people ask us right off the bat, one of the first questions is, do we need the field printer? Because a lot of our media and everything always shows a person in the field with one of those field printers on their side. And the answer to that is no, you don't need one. And we highly suggest a field printer because it does offer many benefits. But especially when users sign up and want to get started, sometimes it takes time. You don't know if you want to officially buy that field printer. You don't know if you want to invest in one. And so we facilitated the ability to pre-print labels in the office before you go out in the field. So this is the same event that we have scheduled for October. And all you got to do is go over to Forms, click Sample Bottle Labels, and it'll build this PDF that you can print out in the office with a LaserJet printer. It has to be a LaserJet printer, and we also provide you links to buy the certain kind of Avery forms that this will print out nice and evenly on. And you can take these in the field with you. Now, you do got to write your name and date on there, and that's about it. Anything to add to that, Russell?
Yeah, I'm holding up the type of Avery form right there. You can see it's the Avery form 5263. There's some other ones out there as well. And these labels are waterproof polyvinyl labels, so they're very durable for in the field work.
Right.
I feel like we're kind of a game show or something where Russell, you're in the background flipping vowels or something like that.
I'm the Vanna White today.
The Vanna White of
show us the Averys, Russell.
Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah. No, but it's just a nice feature that we eventually our users usually end up buying the printer in the long run because they see it just makes sense. And the investment is well worth it, saves time. And also it keeps people from putting the wrong labels on the wrong bottles, because you're printing the label right when you're taking the sample. And there's no chance of grabbing the wrong label and throwing it on the wrong bottle.
Yep.
How much is a printer, you guys?
Printer, depending on the source, is going to be between $700 and $900.
But they're rugged. They last forever. And they can get wet. I mean, they're built for being in the field.
Yeah, and if you subscribe to our service, we actually provide the labels at no cost. So we'll send you rolls of labels as you need them, and there's about 200 labels on a roll.
Cool. What else, Josh?
The next one, we're getting into reports here. Cleanup criteria in your tables. And I'm going to let Russell take this one over.
Okay. Great. So tables, are literally go in almost every report. And so we've created the capability of being able to compare directly to your site-specific or your project or state-specific cleanup criteria here's an example where I have, I've selected, which wells I want to show. I've got the dates that I want to show. I can, pick different dates if I want to. I can also pick different chemicals or even locations. But what I've also done is pick different cleanup criteria. So I have 5 different criteria. I've picked 3 of them. And you can see here all 3 criteria then each have a different color. The highest criteria, that numeric value, will always be red. The middle criteria will be orange, and the bottom one will be blue. So you can kind of look at these values here, and if it's red, you've exceeded the highest one. The orange is the middle one, and the blue is the lowest one. If I do uncheck one, it will reformulate with just red and orange. Or you can just do one if you want to. So here I am just compared to simple cleanup criteria. So it just allows you to kind of customize your tables very quickly and easily and kind of see where you're at and whether you're above certain criteria or not. And there's also the capability to develop site-specific criteria for your particular project. And that can be uploaded and you can compare to that as well. So that's just for tables right now. We do also have the same functionality in box maps and some other graphics as well.
Nice. What do you think, Paul? You wish you had this when you were in the field, when you're putting reports together? Unmute yourself first. Don't get too excited before you unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I had a box of crayons that I was using for color graphics, so that dates a little bit. The other thing is most of the criteria are loaded, right, you guys, for states?
Yep.
So they're going to be in the database already?
Yeah, we ask that people just kind of double check that the criteria are the proper criteria, because different states are updating these things all the time as they get new toxicological data. We've also got a lot of other countries across the world in there as well. So we do ask you to double check those. We try and stay on top of all that stuff, but there's a lot of states, a lot of chemicals, and keeping on top of it with 100% certainty is really difficult. But again, we do make an attempt to stay on top of it, and we have somebody who kind of periodically checks that stuff and makes sure it's all accurate.
All right.
So
great, good.
Take it away, Paul.
Hey, okay. So, we've talked about SampleServe has 4 products, and we've really been talking about Sample ENV, which is the product that is probably most commonly used for high volume, high frequency sampling, whether it's soil, groundwater, waste, surface water, whatever it might be, but it's really set up for routine sampling. So if you have, like Russell said, quarterly sampling that needs to be scheduled, then, this is the perfect tool for you. The second function or second system we have is called Sample Log, which is really designed for the laboratory. We talked a little bit about the interface with the lab and how a user can get a lab involved to pick analytes and other things and order sample bottles. But Sample Log also allows the lab itself to accept your samples through a QR code that's put on the top of your bottle or your sample container. So it's a very effective way to accept your samples, to look through their checklist so that everything's okay from a receiving standpoint, and to get the electronic chain of custody. So it's all there for them. The third product is called Sample H2O. This is really designed for maybe the novice sampler, the home resident, the homeowner, the building inspector, the code inspector, people who infrequently sample water, and generally it's potable water, so it's at the drinking water source, but it doesn't have to be. And it's, of course, it's a simpler form of ENV, and it allows the user to collect the sample, record all the information on their phone, submit it to the laboratory, and get an electronic copy back for their results. And then the final product that we have is Sample SWR, and it's really designed for wastewater collection and sampling. And it's really been designed specifically for a couple of companies who are routinely checking for infectious diseases through wastewater. And we've designed it with them, co-developed it, and it's really great to look at wastewater systems. So those are the 4 products. We've only really talked about ENV today. And as we said earlier, there are a lot of tools out there that people are using today. We hope SampleServe fits the purpose for some of your sampling, and you can join us as a user. If you're already a user, let's figure out how to make it better for you.
All right. Good coverage. We've reached the 20-minute mark officially. What do you guys think? Any questions or comments from the crowd? Not yet. We'll keep a lookout. Do you think? What do you think, Russell, about SampleServe's next big features coming out? You got any input?
Well, as they legalize cannabis across the country, there is a demand. Most of the states, when they legalize cannabis, they require all kinds of product quality testing, testing for contaminants, and literally every state requires chain of custody on those samples. So there's a big volume of work there. And so we're going to be rolling out a product called Sample THC sometime in the near future. Then that's specifically for that particular market segment because they have different use cases and stuff like that. So that'd be the next thing out there. And then, maybe even some kind of crime scene investigation type sampling where chain of custody is going to be critically important because of, the possible criminal prosecutions involved there. So, but that's a little bit further down the road.
Sounds like exciting news.
Yeah.
I think we're going to call it there, guys. Just a reminder, you can share this link with anybody. The same link stays live. This video plays. And we also have a growing library of Wednesday Masterclass webinars that you guys can sort through as well. It just covers all various topics with Sample ENV mostly. And we'll be covering Sample H2O and Sample S2R in the future as well. And thank you, guys. We're going to call it. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.